Hey everybody, I'm Frank and you're watching Fire It Up. Today, we're going to head outside. We're going to fire up the Asmoke AS300 portable pellet smoker, which is a compact smoker. We're going to slap on there a 7-bone beef back rib and we're going to see how well that fares. So stick around because that's coming up. Now, you can ask yourself how we're going to get this 7-bone beef back rib into a compact smoker. Well, we're going to break it down. Once you pat it dry, you will start to trim off the excess fat. Okay, so you see here a lot of excess fat. It's pretty thick. We want the smoke through penetrating. Smoke does not penetrate through fat. All right, and now for the fun stuff. We will season our ribs. One thing that I do is I make a little boat here for my seasoning, so it doesn't make a big mess. And my seasonings: salt, some black pepper, garlic, low sodium soy sauce. The fine ingredient that's going to get it and push it forward is going to be the pecan pellets. Okay, that's going to be our flavoring for our wood. Now for seasoning. So I like to get one hand gloved up, which will be my wet hand. The other will be my dry hand. And we start with some soy sauce. So with the soy sauce, what it's going to do is going to give it a nice brown coloring, additional umami flavoring, and also be used as a binder. So it's going to be doing those three things. Start pretty much basting them and rubbing the soy sauce all into the meat here. Try to get all the sides covered. And because it can get messy, that's why I put the larger rib on the bottom, so that it starts taking some of that soy sauce from the ribs on top, and it's not a complete waste. We will start with the salt. Season all sides. We want to start with the salt first so they can see the amount of salt you're putting on, so that you do not overdo it. And you want to use coarse salt so they can actually see the salt and you're not over salting it, because that can easily happen. I've tried rubs that have the combination 50-50 whatever, what have you, and it has salt inside, and oftentimes it just comes out too salty. Next, we will add the pepper. Lastly, we'll be adding some garlic powder or granulated garlic. You probably want to do the granulated garlic because the powder does get to be too powdery, too fine, too dusty sometimes. So we're going to let this sit here about 20-25 minutes while I get the smoke fired up. Before you plug it in, it's in the off position. Otherwise, when you plug it in, you're going to retrieve an error code. So open her up, you'll see it's a small grill grate, and this is a second tier. We're not going to be using this today, but I'm just showing you how it looks like as a complete unit. So we're going to be removing these today. All right, so this grill claims it can do it all: sear, smoke, and all that good stuff. It could just smoke very well. That's what it could do, and I'll show you guys later what I mean by that, because it did cause a small fire here. And I can replicate it. I've done it before, so I could easily replicate the issue. But anyway, I want to show you guys the fire pot. And like I said before, it's a good little smoker, and that's about it. I wouldn't recommend it for a high heat searing, like it says, because if you have a fatty piece of meat, you're going to cause a fire. Power on the smoker. It doesn't give you, full-on control. It has big temperature swings. But if you keep it below 300, this thing works well. I wouldn't recommend you go any higher than that. I will be making a video in the future of what I mean about how it catches on fire, because like I said, I could easily replicate it. I've reached out to the manufacturer, and they really didn't. Actually, they haven't gotten back to me. And this was a week after I got the unit, the last week of October. So yeah, great customer service, guys. I'm keeping this open so that you guys can see the fire pot lighting up. So you see wood's being pushed slowly. The smoke is starting to build. It's actually now starting to combust. So now that that's going, I'm going to put the deflector back in. So this is where you're supposed to slide to have the actual flame on your grill grate as you're grilling if you want some direct heat and sear. But as I said before, I would stay away. I just keep it as a nice viewing window to know that the unit is coming to temperature, that it'll lit. And start making sure that all of the pellets are on this side, since this is what feeds the most. And from the factory, it has a cover here screwing on these bolts here, and it prevents you from doing this. The no P, that's not a big deal. That just means that the probe is not connected. It has a secondary probe that you could add, but I don't have it connected. I don't have a need for it. At least not in this occasion. And I'm just going to wait for this to go into temperature, which by that time that it's up in temperature, I'll come back and we should be ready to load up the beef ribs in here, and you'll see how quick and easy this is. And yeah, we'll see you in a bit. Actually, right now it's ready for the ribs, so why don't we go ahead and add them in there. Alright, so we got to think a little bit of Tetris here on how to arrange this. And there we are. We have a full slab of ribs here in our cooker. So we're going to set this down. We're going to lock it up. We're going to let this do its magic for about 2 hours. We're going to reset our table here, and we're going to work on preparing our side dish. All right, because we can't just have just ribs. Come on now. Up next, our side dish, mashed potatoes. Now these will be done sous vide, so it'll be very easy to do. We're just going to quickly peel them. We're going to slice them up thin slices, not too thin, but just thin enough so that it makes the sous vide process a lot easier. So now that they're here, I just want to spread them around so that all of them are exposed here. We want to hit them with some salt. Just enough, not over salting them. If you find you need more salt, you could always add after the fact. Next up, some garlic powder. Sprinkle some on there. Not too much, just a little bit. Lastly, our butter. Slice them up, toss them in there. Boom. For sous vide, what do we need? We need a vacuum chamber. Here's a vacuum sealer. So we're going to open this up. We're going to take out as much bag as is necessary for our cook. It should be enough. Okay, and then take our slider to cut it. Cut that up. Unlock to release the hinges here. We're going to place our rolled up bag back on the liner here. Close it up, seal it. This way insects do not get into the bag or anything like that, any dust, what have you. You don't know. You're not watching it all the time. You don't know what could happen. All right, then we go ahead and move it out of the way. We have it ready for our our sous vide bag here. We're going to take our sous vide bag. We're going to roll these up so that it doesn't get full of any of the starch, any liquid, any butter, any salt, any garlic, just so they can make a better seal when we're ready to seal it back up. We will line up our bag here, close her up, make sure he's at the bottom, and hit back seal, and we just wait. See it sucking. So at this point, start pushing it. And you don't want to do that earlier because you see this liquid's going to be pushing up. The liquid's going to be pulled into the chamber here. Once that is sealed up, go ahead and cut the excess. Get rid of this. All right. Keep on trying to flatten these out. What we're going to do is, once 2 hours are remaining, when approximately 2 hours are remaining on the ribs, we're going to throw these into the sous vide. And that's gonna be done inside. I'll show you guys how, and it'll be very easy, super easy. Anybody could do this. I hope you guys are encouraged to do it yourselves. So sous vide basically means cooking under vacuum. How we're gonna achieve that is, we're gonna grab one of my circulators up here and we're gonna put them to use. We're gonna take this time and prepare our sous vide container with some water and get the water up to temperature. All this should be within 20 minutes. Once you have the temperature set, and the contents inside the bag come up to temperature, you'll start notice all the breakdown. It starts steaming. All that steam will create gas, and eventually it starts to float. So what you want to do is you want to have some weights, so you can weigh down the bag so that it stays within the water and you get a nice even cooking throughout. Because you don't want to come back, you know, an hour later thinking that your stuff's halfway done, and you realize that it's floating to the top and you're not going to have a full cooked meal, and you don't want that. You want to have a nice consistent meal. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring the water bath to a temperature of 195 degrees Fahrenheit and cook our mashed potatoes for approximately 2 hours. So now is that time where we can toss in our bag of potatoes, followed by our 3 weights to weigh it down. So it happened. So it rose up to the top parts of it. So we're gonna do, we gotta weigh it down. All right, welcome back. So we're gonna be taking a look at the ribs, see how they're coming along. Hopefully they're looking good, huh? Great, so this is what they're looking like. I'm gonna flip them over a little bit here. And their tops are looking a little dry right now, but that's okay. We're gonna flip them over and we're gonna let that fat render through and come down into the rib and give us more moisture. So another thing we're gonna take a look into right now is how much fuel it has remaining, so that you're not left, you know, without fuel and or not a thorough cook. See here in the hopper, it's taking a big dip in here. That's where it's being fed through. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up. You know, and even though more than likely this will be enough for the remaining 2 hours, I don't want to be left without any chance. So I just go ahead and refill that. Make sure that the bulk of it is towards the right side. Close that back up. In about an hour and a half, we can come back and check on these bad boys. Welcome back, everybody. It's been approximately an hour and a half since we last checked it out. So let's go over and take a look. chewy. I don't know if that's coming through, but the bark is coming very nicely. Now, oh yeah, it's looking very good indeed. You know what? It is not too dry. We won't need to do any spritzing of any kind. This is looking quite nicely. Take a moment right now, check the temperature. Since I'm in here right now, I might as well adjust the fuel here. Make sure the pellets are nicely aligned. And close it back up. Alright, so we're gonna check back in about half an hour. Everything's looking good. So yeah, in the meantime, let's go check with the potatoes, see how that's looking like. Alright, so you want to take the bag out, pull the bag out, and have a rag ready. And then set it onto the rag on the counter. With the dish towel, press and mash the potatoes to your liking, or use a rolling pin and mash them even more. Then toss it back into the bath to keep warm for when we're ready with the ribs. Alright, so let's probe it. We have one that's for sure done, and the other two that are pending. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove that one that's already done. You can see, look how much pullback there is. Just look at that, huh? It's very nice. So these over here need a little bit more time. No big deal, I'm gonna just center these. But they're coming out good, right? So back to these. Unfortunately, the other ones are not done yet. They'll probably take another half an hour or so. But on this one, what we can do is we can just start pressing it the way I like it. Just roll it up. I was really hoping to get all pieces completed at the same time. This way, I can just roll everything in one. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's okay. You see that? I wrapped entirely in paper, and then this I just leave it open so that it doesn't steam up. Next, let's go back into the kitchen and complete doing the mashed potatoes. So we're back in the kitchen. We're gonna finish off those mashed potatoes. All right. So another thing I like to grab for the mashed potatoes is some smoked paprika and some freeze-dried chives. Okay. So we're gonna take them out of the container, out of the bag, and into a serving bowl. Take a rag here to help you with the water. We're going to take our scissors. We will cut the corner here. Just transfer over and out. See that? Very, very easy. Let's taste for salt. Perfect. It doesn't even need more salt. Grab a little wooden spoon here. Move this off to the side. Open them up. Sprinkle some smoked paprika on here. Of course, this is all relative to your liking. All this is to your liking. If you don't like smoked paprika, don't add it. Next, chives. Not a good amount here. There you go. Should be enough. And again, if you don't like chives, you don't have to add chives. This is just what I like. This is to my taste. Quickly mix the potatoes, and I do mean quickly. And then we're going to top off these bad boys with some chives. Alright, so here we have it. Here's the first piece of the ribs that are done. Look at that. It looks wonderful. The pullback. I wish you guys could smell how wonderful this smells. The pecan pellets on beef are amazing. And that's really what adds the complexity when you do barbecue. Alright, so let's carve into it. See what it looks like. So as a smoker, it does the job well. See that? It's very nice. And like I said, the room is filled with such a great aroma already. Just bringing it inside the house, it smells like pecan wood and beef ribs, man. That's what it smells like barbecue. And you're doing this in your home. What else is left but to taste it? So let's start off with the mashed potatoes, right? That's pretty darn tasty. So now let's see how that rib turned out, huh? Oh my gosh. Again, try it this way. You will not be disappointed. You get full of flavor. You get the right portion of salt because you saw just how much you put in there. The soy sauce gives it that bit of umami flavor. And the smoke from the pellet smoker using pecan pellets just adds to the complexity of flavor. This is just so good. I really recommend you guys, even if you guys don't do my recipe, just get yourself a smoker. My thoughts on the AS300. In this cook, as a smoker, the beef ribs came out fantastic. They have a nice bark. The pecan flavor is very well present. The smoke ring on the ribs is very well present as well. It's very nice. As an all-around grill, it's not all that great. As mentioned before, I reached out to them with my issue, and it's been now about 2 months and they have not responded. They give a 5-year warranty, but what good is a warranty when there's no response? Another thing I noticed is that there's another company called Country Smokers, and that product that they have is identical, well, almost identical to what the AS300 is. If you enjoy cooking and eating ribs as much as I do, join me next time on Fire It Up.